Welcome to the Veterinary Marketing Podcast, where it's all about helping your veterinary practice attract, engage, and retain clients. Broadcasting a new podcast every Monday from sunny Southern California, here's your host, Brandon Bashirs.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode number 205 of the Veterinary Marketing Podcast. I hope you're having a wonderful day. In today's episode, we're going to talk about Facebook groups, how you can use Facebook groups and how one practice is using them to successfully grow their practice, create super fans that help to create retention like they've never seen before. So this is going to be a really, really solid episode. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to reach out. And before we begin, I want to mention a few things. First, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe in iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast from. And then secondly, you should totally join my Facebook group, the Veterinary Marketing Nerds. If you have any questions, you can get help. You can collaborate with other people, get ideas for things. It's a great place to get additional support for marketing your veterinary practice. All right, so let's jump into today's episode. Today's an interview, and we have Michael Shirley. You've probably, if you're in any other Facebook groups, you've probably seen him post in there. He and his wife own a veterinary hospital in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and they have been consistently growing it. And it's really, really cool to have seen him do so well and his family do so well with acquiring and growing their practice. So we get into some really specific things, and I think this is one of the best episodes because it has so much value in there. It has practical things on how to use groups, how to use your blog content in groups, how to use video content in groups, how to make content that actually translates into getting people in the door. There are just so many gems in here. So I'm really, really excited about this episode. It's fantastic. Be sure to listen all the way through. And if you have any questions, comments, or need help with anything, please let me know. Otherwise, without further ado, here is Michael Shirley. All right, on today's episode, we have the world famous and the now successful political career of Michael Shirley on the podcast. Thanks so much for being on the podcast, Michael. I like to say that you're my first elected official on the podcast. So,
well, I'm really truly honored to be on the podcast. I've been listening to you for over a year, maybe a little longer than that. I think I've gone back and listened to all the archives as well. And when I'm mowing the grass or bush hogging out here on the farm. And so I'm just really honored that you think that I have something to contribute to your listeners.
Well, I really appreciate it. And can you give us a little bit of kind of insight and context as to how you got involved in the veterinary industry? Because it's pretty impressive that you've been able to do so much in a short time. So give us some context of how you got started and what you do in the veterinary industry.
Sure. So like so many other people, I always dreamed of being a veterinarian as I was a little kid, and started in 4-H in the 4th grade. And I came home from 4-H that first meeting and told my mom I wanted to do all these animal projects. And she said, "We live in a neighborhood in the middle of the city. We cannot do these things." But I was able to convince her to let me get a horse, and we kept it at the stable that was nearby. And that's kind of what started my path to where we are today. So just being involved in 4-H and FFA, and I decided to go to college to started in animal science and majored in pre-veterinary medicine. And that's where my veterinary aspirations ended because I decided that I liked to socialize way more than study. So I dropped my aspirations to become a veterinarian and stayed in the animal science industry and finished my degree in animal science. But the best part of college is that's where I met my wife, who is a veterinarian. So I worked at a local veterinarian's office here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. We're about 30 miles south of Nashville. And my family history was we owned grocery stores. So I always worked at my family's grocery store. And the moment I turned 18, I started working at the Dr. Harris's office, a local veterinarian. And my father slipped at the store and broke his back. So I actually had to quit at the vet's office and go back to work at the family business. And they hired my wife to replace me. And so I would still go back. I would take my dog to Dr. Harris, and I would always see Shirley, my wife, Dr. Shirley. So I think I made a lot of extra vet visits just so I could see her. But but we had a few classes together in college, and when she went off to veterinary school, we dated all through her 4 years there, and got married 2 weeks after she graduated. And she was able to find a job in Murfreesboro, our town, where we decided to live. And so then I started I worked during her last 2 years of veterinary school. I worked for the local animal control, and I was an animal control officer. And then when she got her job here, we knew we were staying in Murfreesboro. So that's when I started working for the extension service, and I was a 4-H agent. And I did that for 8 years. She started working for a local veterinary hospital here. And then I got a call one day from our local high school that they wanted me to come and be their agriculture teacher. So I left extension and started a career in secondary education. So I worked as a high school agriculture teacher, started as an animal science teacher, taught their veterinary medicine classes, and ended up, a long story short, is I ended up in the ag engineering program there, leading the shop classes and things like that. And so I did that for 5 years. And then 2.5 years ago, my wife left the practice where she had worked for 10 years and went out on her own. She had a 2-year non-compete that ended up being 3 years. And then she came home one day and said, I think I would like to open my own veterinary hospital. And I jumped up and gave her a high five. And I was like, of course you can do this. This is going to be great. I've been telling you this for years. So she decided that that's what she wanted to do. And she wanted me to help her with that. So I continued teaching, but we acquired an existing hospital about 4 miles from our house. So it's a real blessing. We could stay right where we were. And so I worked full-time at the vet office and full-time teaching. And she was the veterinarian, obviously. And now we are a 2-doctor practice. We have 10 support staff. And I have, in the spring of this year, I resigned my position at the high school to concentrate exclusively on the vet office as the hospital manager, the practice manager. And that's where we are today. So my job, well, right now I'm actually teaching our 2 children along with 3 other children that belong to 3 different of our team members at the office doing the distance learning. So all of those kids come to my house and I teach them all here during the day. And then I work on management stuff at night. So it's still kind of like I'm still teaching, but instead of a class of 25, I just have 5 kids now. But my roles at the hospital are administration.
Very cool. Well, I'm sure that we could talk about like a million different marketing topics because I think you've done an exceptional job at attracting and retaining clients and things like that. But the thing that I really thought is interesting that you're doing is the use of groups that you're using on Facebook. And a lot of veterinary practices that I talk to are hesitant to jump into the group arena because it's management intensive and they're worried about liability and all kinds of things. So can you just briefly describe the groups that you're doing and then we'll kind of dive deeper into that?
Sure. So the one thing that I am well aware of is that Facebook's in control, right? They decide that the algorithms and all that. No, I don't know that anyone really, probably even the people that work at Facebook don't know exactly how all that works. But what I was finding is we instantly created a business page, right, for the vet office. And I was consumed with likes, like how do we get more likes? How do we get more likes? And what we were finding is, we had people liking us from all over the world, which was great. But when it came to turning likes into people coming through the door or building relationships with our clients, it was hard to track. And I also realized that, Facebook could just end it at any time. They could just lock me out or decide that they're not going to do business pages anymore. And so I was trying to find ways that I could stay engaged with our clients on social media and better connect with the ones here in Murfreesboro, and especially my existing clients. So there's 2 ways that I've maintained the business page, and anyone's welcome to look for us, Family Pet Health, and give us a like. We'd love that. But we have an exclusive group for our existing clients. So we set that up. We've got about 200, a little over 200 of our clients are active members of our group. You have to answer a few questions to gain access to it. But it's great. So those are 200 people that I know 100% are our clients. And so I can send them messages that are very specific to things like COVID, like changing of protocols. We using their rewards points from Pet Desk, just really deliberate things. Any kind of local outbreaks that we might have in the animal world, we can put that on our Facebook group, and it goes just to the people that really need to see it. So that's our private business group. And then I also am very active in our local community groups, and those are, very specific to our town. So we live in a town that's a little over 250,000 people in our town, and surrounding, just right outside of the city. And so they have all these different community pages, and I'm a member of probably about 4 different community pages. And people always are looking for veterinary recommendations or dog trainer recommendations and things like boarding recommendations, grooming recommendations. And so I kind of creep on those different community pages, and when it's appropriate, I'll chime in on behalf of our business, or I'll make referrals to our community partners. So we partner with a local dog trainer, and so I'll offer, tag them in those posts and just try to be a resource to the community. Our local dog park system has a community Facebook group. And so obviously that's a target rich environment. And so I try to stay really active on there and answer questions where I can, or post like links to our blog on our website so that they can get resources that way as well.
That is really, really cool. So let's, I think, break that down a little bit further. Let's talk about your private business page real quick here, and the private business group rather. So with this, does everybody get an invite into this, or do you have it systematized in that you tell clients about it, or is it more for your highest tier clients, or do you have some kind of methodology behind who you invite to that group?
It is on. We invite everyone that is a client of ours. So from time to time, I will send out a mass message that says, "Hey, don't forget we have a private Facebook group," with a link on there. It's on the bottom of every one of our receipts that we either print off or email. So it's on there. If you're on Facebook, make sure to look for. It's called Pet Parents of Family Pet Health. That's the name of the private group, and so you can check that out from. People can check that out to see what it's like, and you can try to apply to be a member if you'd like. But there's some screening questions in there that says, are you a member? What are your pets' names? And do you agree to the group rules? So we email and text everybody from time to time. It's on the bottom of every receipt. And then we also have it in our rooms, in our exam rooms. There's a Facebook, an invitation on the wall there. So when people are waiting in the exam room and looking around for things to do, they will see that as well. And then we haven't done this yet. We just got some voice over IP phones. And so we're going to have a hold message, and we will create a commercial, quote unquote, commercial that will play when people are on hold on the phone. It'll invite them to search for our private Facebook group there as well.
That's really cool. And I just had an idea that you could do to, I think, make that a little bit easier, is if you wanted to, if you made it so that your website.com/group just forwarded to that URL, I think you'd probably get more people remembering how to get there easier if it was your website and then it just forwarded to the URL page there.
That's a great idea. We use Whisker Cloud, and those guys are awesome. So I can shoot him a message, and they'll have that done by the end of the day, man. So it's
exactly.
It's great. Yeah, they created a page for us when we first started talking about this earlier this year. That was specific to our Facebook group. So there's all sorts of different ways. When we email people, it's a hyperlink. So all they have to do is click on that hyperlink, and it takes them right to it. But there's just, you just tell them in every single way, anywhere where you think their eyeballs are going to be, link it and put it there. On those community groups that we talked about, our reference to, I talk about that. Did you know, here's what sets us apart. We have a private Facebook group. And so people, and I'll link it because people, like I said, people can't join it, but people can't resist following those links and checking it out. Cause when you make it exclusive, it's like, ooh, I want to be a part of that. We get local people that apply to be a part of our group all the time. And I decline it. And then, but I always send them a message that says, we appreciate your interest in our group. but it is exclusively reserved for people that are existing clients, and we can't wait to have you join us. And then I'll link to our website for how they can book an appointment.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic. So, as far as administration for your group goes, how much time do you think you put into managing that group, maybe on a weekly basis, and how much activity is generated inside of that group usually?
It's a minimum requirement of my time. It's not very hard. It's on there. Number one rule is this is not a place for veterinary advice, because we do not check this all day, every day. If somebody messages the group, it has an automatic reply that says, if you need immediate assistance, call the office. So we're pretty clear in there that it is not a place for veterinary advice. That is not to say that we do not give advice. I mean, it's just another telemedicine type of thing, right? I mean, people will, our clients will post pictures and things on there, and sometimes we'll answer them, and sometimes other clients will answer them. So, I know that that's worrisome for some people, but I would rather them post those questions on our group page than posting them in just general Facebook world, because at least when they post them inside our group, I can be like, hey, wait, let's pump the brakes there. That's not exactly accurate. Or we're like, whoa, that looks really intense. You need to schedule an appointment right away. So it doesn't take that much time. People understand that we're not on Facebook all the time. I feel like I am sometimes, but we're not, and they understand that. So it has not been that big of a deal. The thing that is that I like the most is that we've built a little bit of a community there. So our clients ask other clients for advice on, like, how did you litter? Hey, I see that you, Melanie, I see that you post pictures of your rabbits all the time, and what a setup you have for them. How did you litter box train them? They know more about litter box training rabbits than I do. So It's great that they can share that information. And we just built another little community. And so it's not, Family Pet Health is not just their veterinarian. It's like a destination place. Like, they're part of the club. And that's what having that private group has helped us to create.
That's really cool. So when you started this, did you find that you had to kind of like seed the group with posts and ongoing things, or do you have like a regular content schedule in there, or is it just kind of running itself now, or did you find anything like that?
It's running itself right now. I do try to post exclusive things because everybody that is a member of our private group is also a follower of our business page. And so I do vary the post. I'll post things within our group that I won't put on our general business page, because I want them to truly feel that they're getting behind the scenes, or first. Any promotion goes to my group first before we promote it to anyone else. So, for example, we had a customer appreciation event that was a paint your pet party. So we had a lot of people that were generating, we used the Pet Desk rewards points, and we had a lot of people that had a lot of coins and they were getting ready to expire. So I talked to a local artist who does the paint your pet parties, and I told people it was limited space, and I posted it in our group first and said, hey, you don't have to pay for this. You can just trade in your care coins to reserve your spot, or you can pay $50 to reserve a spot. And I said, it's going to be open to you all first as a valued member of our fan club page here. And then next week, I'm going to open it up to the general public. So if you think you might want to do this, you better jump on this opportunity right away. And it filled up with just our private group. Unfortunately, we had to cancel it because of COVID, but we are going to revisit that in the fall and or in the spring, whatever the case may be. And but again, dangling things out there or making promotions available just to that group so that they feel special is really important. And a lot of times it's not like it doesn't get a post every single day. The group doesn't, but it gets a couple of posts a week. Not from me, but like from just my clients.
Sure. That's really, really solid. And I think too, that it's just, that doesn't seem super overwhelming in general. I think that's so cool. And I mean, it just gives you the ability to communicate with them organically and regularly. So that's really, really smart. And then I guess, do you just have any just general guidelines that you use for rules and things that you kind of suggest have helped you, or anything you found with that?
Yeah, I think the main thing is just to be very clear, communicate very well with them, with your members, that it is not a place for veterinary advice. You're happy to, we give advice through there, but sometimes we're like, hey, you need to schedule an appointment. So don't be afraid to do that. These are our super fans, so they understand the value that my wife and our team provide, and so a lot of times they will post questions with apologies, like, I'm so sorry to post this, but so they understand, this isn't just the general public. These are people that you already have a relationship with, but it is still important to set clear expectations that it's not a place for just free advice.
Sure.
The other thing is just we encourage good discussion. So even when people post something that's not factually accurate, I don't delete it. We just make sure that we educate them, and I leave it up there so that they see the real the science behind our answers. So it's just another place for education. And I can hear people out there going, well, we're already busy. I don't have time for that. But it's a part of our business plan is just to create good relationships, because I want to try to make my business recession proof. Or not recession proof, but recession resistant, right?
Sure.
I want to be able to make sure that people aren't price shopping us, that they're building relationships and they don't even care how much we charge because they're bonded to our business so well. This has just been another way to do that. And the other thing that's a good point that just popped in my head, when someone's a member of a group and I post something in the group, they get an alert. Versus my business page posts something, it might pop up on their feed. And so what we see is that we get better interaction and better reach on our private group than we do on our business page.
Yep, for sure.
So that's another key thing there. So, just use it. Call to actions are so important. I know you've given so many different podcasts where you talk about calls to action. So important. And you need to do that in your group as well. If you're just getting on and posting funny pictures and stuff like that, that's great, but that's not going to get people through your door or to book appointments and get compliance for those patients to get good care.
Yep, definitely. That's, I think, really, really helpful. And then it's just so important to engage your clients on a regular basis and build relationships, because
that's right.
That will help you to be, nobody's going to go price shopping in people who are in that group,
Yeah.
So
when we talk about the community pages, if someone out there is in an area that doesn't have a community page, create one. So if you can create a community page that's just like pet owners of Raleigh, right? So That's just something you can put out there and people will share, and you don't even have to, you don't have to advertise that you're in charge of it. You can just create a community page and then and make it where everybody can join. And the benefit to that is that when you do, and you probably have podcasts about this, then you can target those members with your Facebook ads, real specific. And that's a good place to generate leads. So I am not a administrator or a moderator for any of the community pages that I'm a part of. So I can't target those members. At least I don't know how to do that. You might know how to do that. But what I do in those community pages is I always start off with, welcome to Murfreesboro. You are going to find that there are so many great veterinarians in town. As you make your choice for veterinary partners, we hope that you'll check out, and then I link Family Pet Health. We are Rutherford County's first and only fear-free certified clinic, and we would love to give you individualized care. Give us a call. We can even set up a virtual tour so you can see our facilities and meet our team. And then I link our website as well. I'm pretty good. I can just type that out pretty quick. But what I did also on my phone in a note is just wrote that. And I have about 4 different messages that I recycle, and you can just copy it and paste it. And because it's the same question all the time, right? Like, anybody have any good vets in town? And I'm like, oh, here we go again. And I copy it and I paste it, fix the links, and then it's there. What I have found, in 2.5 years ago, Family Pet Health didn't exist. And the practice that we bought was called Black Fox Vet Hospital. We rebranded it. The reason we were able to do that is because there wasn't an online presence from the previous owners. There nothing good about it, nothing bad about it. But what we found now is those super fans that we have, they take care of. Usually, I find a question about looking for a vet because one of our super fans has tagged us. So we used to get 0 tags. The only person that would make a recommendation for family pet health was me. And now I can tell you that I have like 10 clients that constantly recommend us on Facebook. And you know what I did for them? I send them handwritten notes. Anytime I'm out and about, I'm always looking for things that I can buy them as a thank you. So like there was a discounted, like one of those clients that I said that has rabbits. I bought a sign because it was talking about every bunny welcome. And I just bought it, and I said, and I just put a client alert when that person comes back, give them that sign and just tell them thanks for being a super fan for us. And that kind of stuff doesn't cost you a lot, and it builds like such loyalty from them. They're going to continue being your marketer for you, and it takes less and less time for me to do it.
That's really, really smart. And I think that just in general, the principle of like having clients that are Facebook group users, the likelihood that if they use your group and they engage with your group often, the likelihood that they're going to be in other local groups too, where they can make those recommendations, is going to be really, really high. And Absolutely. So when somebody requests to join your group, you can see the other groups that they're in as well. And so if you find relevant groups that your clients are also in, once you're in it, then they can tag you. And so it makes just so much sense to do that. So when you were talking about community groups, though, you did mention linking up blogs to that. And do you go and kind of create blog content based on the things that you see over and over again? Or is it just kind of like we wrote a blog post about that, so let's link that up here? Or
Yep. So earlier this spring, we started having a bobcat fever breakout in our area. Like we saw a bunch at our office. And so I'm like, hey guys, this is important. Like, let's write a story about it. Let's take some videos or capture some pictures. We put it on our blog. And then I went to the pet, like all of the pet pages, and just linked it. And in the community groups, I just said, here's a little announcement from Family Pet Health, and posted the link to our website where we talked about that. We, as a fear-free certified practice, we're the only one in the county. And so whenever I put that, one of the number one things people go is, well, what's fear-free? So we have a page on our website that explains fear-free. We have blog posts that explain fear-free. And so I'll instead of just tagging our general Facebook or general website, I'll post a link to that page specifically, so that people, if they're asking a question about fear-free, I'm going to give them the fear-free page so that they go exactly to what they're looking for. So I think that's super important to monitor things. The dog park is something that's new to our area. We had a lot of questions about the dog park, or I'll see people getting in arguments about whether they should go to the dog park or not. And so we've written blog posts about how to introduce your dog to the dog park, how important it is to do yearly fecals buy yearly fecals on your dogs if you're going to the dog park, because you don't know what they might pick up there. And so we've just made blog posts that explain those things, along with video and pictures.
That's awesome. So I think, especially like those biannual fecal tests that you're talking about, like most people wouldn't consider that at all. And that's like content that has the direct offer attached to it. And so you're going to be able to see like results from telling people and making a recommendation that's going to be important to them based on the relevant content that they're looking for, and they're actually looking for it. And it's good.
Right. And so when they come into our office and our veterinary technicians or our doctors start talking to them about the importance of fecals, what we love more than anything is to hear them go, oh yeah. I read that, or I watched that video on your blog. Boom. Yep. They were already primed for that discussion when they came through the door. And once you make those videos, we make them so that we can make them timeless, so we can repost them or recycle them next year. Every year, right before the 4th of July, guess what we send out? The video that I made 2 years ago about firework aversion. That hasn't changed, so we can recycle that message or that blog post rather than rewriting it. But it stays up on our website forever. And the importance of changing that website and keeping it fresh and up to date, the more you can drive content. It helps keep your SEO fresh. And so I've got some great staff members that love writing. I've got some, not as many, but I have a few that will get on camera with me. And so we just try to mix it up, pictures, video, writing, and just push it out everywhere we can.
That's awesome. Well, I think that's amazing, and it's like no wonder that your practice is growing and you're adding doctors, and I think you're just going to continue to do that. And so, I mean, this is just one of those like marketing methods that just makes sense. Though you're just building relationships with people, and so it's just a really unique relationship building, strategy that is not necessarily based on just being a commodity in the space. You're providing value beforehand, during, and after, and so it makes you just a complete resource. And I think it's just super smart. And I think that you're actually the only practice that I know that has a private group, and things, and so that's just super cool. And I think it's one of the smartest marketing ideas I think everybody should do, especially if they're putting effort into Facebook, because just Facebook has come out publicly and said that they're doing away with the feed, that it's going to be built around messaging and groups, and that Facebook's app in the future won't look anything like it does today. And so I think
that's right. And somebody posted this on Danielle Lambert's Snout School page, where they were like, is anybody else just tired of Facebook and how polarized it is right now, and everybody's arguing? And I'm like, yeah, but I go there. I still use Facebook, because that's where my clients are. But I have found more and more and more that I spend most of my time in Facebook in the groups that I'm interested in. And so I want my clients, when they go to Facebook, that one of the groups that they check on a regular basis is the Pet Parents of Family Pet Health. So it's just, things are changing. When Facebook made groups their priority, then guess what? That's now my priority. So be willing to adjust with the times, and there may be a time coming up that nobody's on Facebook, and I'll be looking at other places and putting more effort into other areas. But right now, the Facebook one is generating new clients through my door. And so we're going to keep riding that horse as long as it says performing. One thing that is important is make sure that you're finding out where your clients are. So when you get new clients come through the door, set up your practice management software so that you can find out how they're, like, what led them to come to you, and then put that in your practice management software so that you can run a report and find that out. We run a report every month that shows how all of our new clients found us. And if everybody is finding us on TikTok, then guess where I'm going to start spending more time? TikTok. If everybody's still finding us via Facebook, I'm going to keep using Facebook. So just being open to moving things around as your clients are showing that they're moving around. Just be aware with what they're doing.
Yep. Well, definitely. Well, I think this was incredibly helpful. I really, really appreciate it, Michael. If is there anything that you have that you would want to get people to like your page, or is there anything that you want to share with anybody before we head out?
Well, I would like to invite everybody, when we talk about groups, another group that I started earlier this year is the Veterinary Leadership Book Club. So give us a search for that. We read a leadership book one at a time, and we have a little over 1,000 members in there now. And it's great because all of the different leadership books that we read, we ask daily discussion questions that are focused on the veterinary industry. And it's been fantastic. The current book that we're reading right now is called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. We read Crucial Conversations and The Power of a Positive Team were our first 2 books. And there's a lot of good discussion going on over there. So I would invite everybody to check that out. And you can reach out to me as well, Michael at familypethealth.com. And I'm happy to answer any questions if I can be of help to anybody.
Wonderful. Well, I appreciate you. And I'm in that group. I haven't been reading along with you guys, but I see the posts in there and they're really, really good. So that's a really cool group. I definitely will link that up in the show notes on this. So everybody be sure to go join that too.
I'll give a teaser. I've got some other moderators in that group. I think that you will like our next book. If the other moderators agree with where we're going, there's a marketing book that I want us to read next. So I hope that maybe you'll read that one along with us.
Okay, cool. Is it Story Brand?
It's Marketing Made Simple,
Oh, cool.
which is written by the same Donald Miller. So.
Nice. I love Donald Miller so much. I was wondering if it was going to be one of his books. Fantastic, man. Well, I really appreciate it, and thank you so much for being on the podcast. We're going to have you on again because you got just so much practical, good info sometimes. So thanks, man.
Hey, truly, I enjoyed it, and please, you keep up the great work because you're providing a great resource for veterinary people as well. So thank you for what you've done.
All right, thanks, man. All right, thanks, Mike. I really appreciate that. That is
man,
awesome. So much good value. I really, really appreciate it. And
good. Well, if I can, if you ever want to talk again, just let me know. Yeah, the next book is I bought. It's Donald's book that he just came out with. He wrote it with JJ. It's called Marketing Made Simple. So I haven't got to start reading it yet, but hopefully.
Did he write it with JJ Abrams?
Yeah, they wrote it together.
Awesome. I met JJ Abrams, and it was really cool. I went to a mastermind with him, and he's incredible.
Abrams or Peterson? JJ
oh,
yeah,
got it.
JJ Peterson. It's his co-host on his podcast.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Cool.
Well, cool, man. Well, it was great talking to you, and just give me a shout anytime. Like I said, we're starting the planning process for our new hospital. So when we finally find that third doctor, we're going to crank up some advertising. I'll be in touch with you.
Sounds great, man. We'll talk soon, and let me know if there's anything I can do.
All right. Thanks, Brandon.
Thanks. Bye.
See you.
I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Again, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe in iTunes, Google Play, or Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from, and let me know if you need anything. And thanks again to Michael for being on the podcast today. Have a good one, everybody.